Hey guys, this is John with CheatSheetPros.com. Today is Friday, October 8th, and just a heads up, I feel like crap, so I'm a little late getting this video out. But today we're going to take a look at the NFL cheat sheet, and we're going to look at some daily fantasy stacks and plays for NFL Week 6. As always, check the website for the article. I'm going to run through it real quick before we start going through games, so just bear with me. I have a migraine headache and I've had a head cold all week, so I'm exhausted and don't feel very well. So I promise a better video next week. So on the website, CheatSheetPros.com, we've got our Week 5 article. I'm going to run through it. So last week, I want to recap some of the plays that we had. So we had Cordarrelle Patterson. He was the fourth highest scoring flex player with 34.6 DK points, had over 7x value. Derrick Henry, he was our pay up for stud. I don't like going over studs because I read a lot of articles in some of these Facebook groups, and it's like, okay, play Derrick Henry, play Devontae Adams, play Patrick Mahomes. Those are our three best plays. Well, no shit, Sherlock. They're the studs. They're most expensive. That doesn't help anyone. But he went for 177 total yards, a TD, 28.7 DK points. We also had Najee Harris, just over 3x value. For receivers, we had McLaurin, who we really liked for a bounce back. He ended up with 33.3 DK points for 5x value. DJ Moore went nuts for 5.3x value. And then we put in a punt of Khalif Raymond, who had less than 2% ownership, and ended up going for 19.6 DK points. Tight ends, we went with Gesicki, who had 4.2x. Dawson Knox, who caught 2 TDs for almost 6x. And Dalton Schultz, who is cheap and went for 5.2x. So we had some good plays last week. So who do we like this week? Some of the stacks that we like. So I'm going to run over the stack tab while we're up here. These played on the Thursday night game, so they're irrelevant at this point. Kyler Murray, D-Hop, AJ Green, run back with Deebo Samuel. That's a good cash stack. So for cash stacks, we're sorting by average fantasy points, and we'll go through that. Another one that popped up that we like is Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and run it back with Devontae Adams. I actually posted this article a couple days ago, and PFF on their article today, they had this exact stack. So maybe we're on the right track. Stacks per target, stack targets value per 1K spent. These are good ways to find GPP stacks that have not blown up yet but could blow up. Those came through at Mac, Jacoby, Nelson Aguilar, Brandon Cooks, and then Brissett, Parker, Waddle, Mike Evans, and then Wentz, Pittman, Paris Campbell, run back Marquise Brown. I don't like this one as much. I do like the Carson Wentz, and I don't mind the Mac Jones run back with Cooks. I think those are good. But again, you can look at this article, and you should be able to click this and blow this up a little bit and see it a little better. And then we have our cheap as fuck stacks. And you basically just sort this by cost of stack, high to low, and then you can pick out if you want wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and who you want the run back with. So these are good for just getting a stack together and freeing up a crap ton of money. So some of the GPP stacks that we have here with shells. So one of them was Jacoby with Parker, Gesicki, run back with Evans. And just for number's sake to fill a spot in, I picked a defense for $2,700. So I wanted to show how much money is left. So $6,500 or $25,700. And that's pretty good. So with that, you could do like Derrick Henry. You could put Alvin Kamara in there. If Mixon doesn't go, you could get a cheap P. Ryan in there and then still have $4,100 for your flex if you want to go running back heavy. If you want to mix it up, go more value. Some people are going to go Damien Williams this week. Austin Eckler's a good mid-up range play. And then you could pick DJ Moore, get a solid receiver in there, and then still have $5,000 for a flex. Another one we like, and this left you $6,500, so you can really do some damage. So you'd have $26,000 to fill 4 spots, and one of those being a tight end, where you can usually spend about $4,000 and get a stud tight end. So you can have 3 players between $7,000 and $7,500, but you could go Derek Carr, Ruggs, Renfro, run it back with Mooney. And I mean, those are cheap guys. And Carr had a couple of games where he was he was over 380 yards week 1 through week 3. So you definitely have some upside there. And then if you come back here, we've got a Lawrence, Marvin Jones, Chenault stack, run back with A.J. Brown. Leaves you 61.25 left. I don't mind that one at all. Love Chenault. He's a must-own for that stack. Last week, when DJ went out, he was 6 of 7 for 99 yards and, I mean, what felt like a quarter of play. I mean, he was just rolling. Another one, Daniel Jones surprisingly threw for 400 yards last week and played great. So they're going to have to put up some points against Dallas. So I was looking at a Daniel Jones Galladay stack. I know the other two receivers weren't practicing as of Wednesday. So Daniel Jones Galladay could be a good cheap stack. And then run it back with CeeDee Lamb, or you could go Cooper. The injury worries me a little bit with Cooper. And then I left Chenault in here because I really like him as a one-off play at only $4,800. I think 3X is a floor for him this week. And then if you need another Giants guy, what about John Ross? This is a very, as you see here, a deep dive dart. So he's only $3,400. He's your Desean Jackson of the Giants. You're going to need basically, you want him to catch like a 60 or 70 yard touchdown, and he's going to crush value. But if you went Jones, Galladay, Ross, run back with Lamb, plug Chenault in there cheap, you have $7,000 per player left. So you could fit anyone in here, and one of those is a tight end. So, I mean, you could go, so many different things. You could do Derrick Henry, Kamara, and still have $3,400 over for a mid-range tight end. You could do Darren Waller down here and then still get Austin Eckler, James Robinson. It gives you a lot of flexibility. One thing I like to do in these 20 max tournaments is come up with a core like this, a good shell, and then run it 5 times and mix and match all these guys. And then if you're watching this Giants game and this game becomes a shootout, you're like, great, now I can focus on the studs, And maybe at that point you're like, well, I got one lineup with Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara. I got one with Robinson Eckler. Then maybe you could do Henry Eckler, Kamara Eckler, just kind of mix and match those guys and try to get the majority of them into the cash. And then that way you can turn a profit and you don't need to win the entire GPP. Some of the other guys that I liked we're going to run over, but I'll go through them real quick. Derrick Henry, again, he's got upside. Austin Eckler, he looked great last week. He catches a lot of balls out of the backfield. Zeke's in a smash spot this week. A lot of mouths to feed, so his ceiling is somewhat limited. James Robinson's only $6,000. I think he's a good pivot to go down. The last 2 weeks, he's gone for 3X and 4X. James Conner's another one that I like at $5,600. Conner's getting a lot of goal line carries he's had. I believe it was 4 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks, 2 and 2. So, if he gets in the end zone and rushes for 50 yards, you're pretty much at a 2.5X floor. Damien Williams is likely going to be a very chalky play this week. So, cash, I don't mind him. GPP, not so much. 5,600 is cheap, and he should hit value, but I think he's going to be so high owned in GPP that everybody's going to be plugging him in, and you're better off to pivot up or down and just kind of stay off of him and hope for a bust game. Damien Harris, he should have a low ownership this week. Now, he didn't do very good against Tampa and New Orleans, but week 1, he had 23 carries for 100 yards and even 3 targets. And now he gets to face a porous Houston defense that's allowing 137 rushing yards per game. So one thing I look at when I'm looking at rushing yards per game is yards per carry. And so 4.5 yards per carry, that tells me, okay, yeah, they're getting gashed. So he could do really well this week. He's someone that's going to be lower owned. So for GPP, I like getting off of Williams, going to someone like a Damien Harris to be contrarian. P. Ryan, he's only 4,000. So if Mixon doesn't go, he's worth a plug-in if you just want to completely punt the position. DJ Moore, I love him. CMC should be back this week, but this guy's just a target monster. I think he had 12, 12, and 11 targets the last 3 weeks, 8 catches the last 2 games, and 35 DK points last week. Deontay Johnson, he's played weeks 1, 2, and 4. He's had 13, 12, and 10 targets. He's 24, 22 DK points. It doesn't matter who they play. He's going to get targets and several catches. Jacoby Myers is someone cheap that you can put in there. He has 26 targets the last 2 weeks. He caught 8 and 9 balls for 70 and 94 yards. If he can find the end zone for 5,600, that's a big return. AJ Green's starting to come onto the scene. He's got a solid 6 targets per game from an elite QB and an elite offense that's undefeated. Last week he had 5 catches for 67 yards and a TD. Prior week he had 5 catches for 112 yards. So he's looking like someone that's coming on, and he's fairly cheap. I think he's 5,100, and he's got 18 and 19 DK points the last 2 weeks. Chenault, he's someone that I'm pretty much going to lock into the majority of my lineups. He's less than 5,000 on DK. In these PPR leagues, he should get peppered with targets. I like him since Shark's out. Mooney, for some reason, Fields loves throwing to Mooney over Allen Robinson. So all my season-long leagues where I have A-Rob, it sucks. He's getting 2 or 3 catches a game, and Mooney's getting peppered. Last week, I think he had, 5 catches on 7 targets for 125 yards, and he's only $4,700, so definitely going to take a shot on him. Randall Cobb, if you need a complete punt, I thought it was near min price. He is 4,000. He's going to be involved in the offense. Aaron Rodgers wanted him. Aaron Rodgers likes him. Aaron Rodgers is going to continue to utilize him. Last week, they pumped him up, threw him 2 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to get that consistently, but at 4,000, 12 DK points is 3x value. So, I mean, you could have 5 catches for 70 yards, and there's your 12 DK points. And if he catches a touchdown, boom, that's even, more bonus. If you do want a complete punt, John Ross, I don't mind. He's only 3,400 near min price. He got 4 targets last week. And if he catches 1 or 2 deep balls, he's going to crush value. Last week, he caught 3 for 77 and a TD for 16.7 DK points. Tight ends, Kittle. I like him. He is significantly cheaper than the guy above him. So his price has been up to 6,300, 6,400. Now he's slid down to 5,600. So he's at a really conservative price point. And he's going to have that blow-up game where he has that 8 catches, 100 yards, 1 to 2 touchdowns. You just want to have some shares of him when that happens. He is getting a lot of targets. He was 7 of 9 for 92 yards, I believe last week or week 3, and he's $1,700 cheaper than Waller. So gives you some upside there. Dalton Schultz likely be chalky, but he's got 15 targets over the last 2 weeks, 18 and 26 DK points, $4,400. He's a solid option. Gesicki, Brissett loves throwing to him. He's 4,200. He's got 16 and 18 DK points the last 2 weeks. And in week 3, he had 10 catches on 12 targets against Tampa. So this is a game they're likely going to be down the entire second half and throwing. So he's got upside and a good floor. Jared Cook is in the 3,000 range. I think he was like $3,800. And he caught 6 of 7 for 70 last week and a score. But he's more GPP because his likely outcome can be as low as 1 to 2x, but he also has 5x upside. So I like him for GPP, not as much for cash. And then on the article, I put in our advanced EVP stats, weekly target chart, all that good stuff. So let me go ahead and pivot off here and let's look at the sheet for this week. So when we come over here and we look at the quick stacks, one of the things we can do, we want to find some cash game stacks and some cheap stacks. So over here, you can pick wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, opponent wide receiver 1. That's the default. So if you want to see the cheapest, just sort it here by cost of stack, and it's going to give you the cheapest stacks. Now, this is going to show you how much cap money it's using and how much money you have left if you use $2,800 on a defense. So anytime you have over $6,500 left, you're going to be able to have a lot of fun building these lineups. So these are the stacks that you can do with it. For GPP, I like looking at ceiling, so you can see what stacks have the highest ceiling. And so we're going to come down here, and it's going to be, Josh Allen, Diggs, Beasley, Tyreek Hill. That is expensive as shit, but again, it's going to give you a solid floor for, a solid ceiling for GPP, but it is expensive. Wilson, DK, Lockett, Cup, that ran last night. Murray, Hopkins, AJ Green, Debo, I love that one. That one I think is also good for cash. And then you could also look at value, like who's got the highest ceiling value. So we see some of these stacks over 4.4x for a ceiling. and we got the Dak, Allen, Russell Wilson, Goff, and Kyler Murray. Out of this, what jumps out at me is this Goff stack with Cephas, Raymond, and Justin Jefferson. It's 22-1, only 44% of the cap, which you can see this is the one that's going to leave you a lot of money and give you some upside. You can also sort this by team implied total. So sort it by high to low and say, okay, well, who's Vegas thinks going to have the most points? Okay, it's these guys. What's it going to cost me? The one that jumps out here is this is the least expensive of the highest implied totals. It's only 46% of the cap. It's going to leave you $6,000 per player, which is solid at 27.5 implied points. And that gives you Lamar, Marquise Brown, Sammy Watkins, Pittman. I don't really like Sammy Watkins as much, so let me dip down here, see who the wide receiver 3 is. And it's going to give me Duvernay. Don't really want Duvernay either, so let me see who the tight end 1 is. So then I'm going to flip it up. Okay, this is better for me. It's a little bit more expensive, but it gives me Lamar, Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews, and a run back of Pittman. I don't mind it, so let's see what it changed. 48% of the cap, $5,800 left per player. So I can get in and get some action on a high Vegas implied one that's got a little bit of ceiling to it. I like that. And then sticking with this wide receiver 1, tight end 1, opponent wide receiver 1, let's just see what the best value is for the stack. So projected value, Ridley's been out since we'd posted the sheet, so that game's not even on the main slate. We're going to throw it out. So the best projected value is going to be Brady, Evans, Brait, run back with Parker, and then Rodgers, Adams, Tanyan, run back with Higgins, Cousins, Jefferson, Conklin, run back with Cephas. So we got some decent options here. As far as value stack, we're going to go back, look at wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, opponent wide receiver 1, and then stack value. Let's see what changes. We get one that's over 3, and that's Rodgers, Adams, Cobb, run back with T. Higgins. I love that. That's good. It still leaves you a decent cap space left. And then I love this one here. Burrow, Higgins, Chase, run back with Devontae Adams. We're going to kick out Atlanta because they're not on this. Minnesota's a running team, so not as high on them. This could be a good one. Oh, no, that's the New England or overseas game. So we got to throw that one out. Lamb, Cooper, run back with Galladay. I like that. That's a good pivot off anyone that's playing Zeke. Like this one, Lawrence, Jones, Chenault, run back with A.J. Brown. And one of the things that I like to do is just sort it by team implied total, high to low. And then with this stack, just look down here, look at this cost and say, okay, what jumps? Okay, Baltimore is the cheapest of these high implied totals. And then, you know, we can get in here cheap for this. We can get in here with this Carr, Ruggs, Renfro. There, I'm sure as hell not running back Allen Robinson. So let's flip this up and go wide receiver 2, see if that puts Mooney in there. All right, that gives us Carr, Ruggs, Renfro, Mooney, 21-3. Look how cheap that is. So that gives us only 43% of the cap, 64.75 left, still a decent implied total. And so what I do is I keep a piece of paper in front of me, and I'll kind of tinker with this, and then I'll find like 5 stacks. Like, boom, this is one that we like. You know, flip around here, Rodgers, Adams, Cobbs, Chase. You know, that's one I like. A.J. Brown, Julio, run back, Chenault. It's okay. Don't like it as much. And then Murray, Hopkins, Green. I don't want to run it back with Ayuk, so let me flip it over to this wide receiver 1. Debo, all right. Expensive one, but that's one I like. And I'll find some different stacks. And then I'll go to DK, start plugging them in, see what else I can fit in there. Some of the players that I do like this week that are upgrades are Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook if he goes. Alexander Madison's a lock if Cook is out. Zeke's in a good spot. I like Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson for high-end guys. Some of the upgrade guys that I think are cheap that you can plug in there are Jacoby Myers, Corey Davis. I like Dalton Schultz again, Tyler Conklin. And then I think we got to look at T. Higgins, Laviska Shenault, and Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel is min price on DK. He's $3,000 this week. And Terry McLaurin's going to get, I can't remember who. He's going to get shadow covered, so he's likely going to get shut down or at least held in check. So Curtis Samuel is the only other guy they can throw to with what's his face? Sorry, my head's killing me. The tight end, he's out this week too. Logan Thomas. So I think Curtis Samuel could get peppered with targets. So he could be a good play at min price. Last week we posted Khalif Raymond as a punt. Curtis Samuel would be my punt for this week based on that. But anyways, I just wanted to get some NFL DFF stuff for you, show you some stacks I like, kind of get something to get your juices flowing, your brains thinking. Look at the article on the website. Again, I apologize, feel like crap. Next week we'll have a better video for you, but I wanted to get something up and show you some stuff so you can get some action in there because we all want to chase that big prize. Have a good week 6, and we'll talk to you later.